here. Mr. Singh, right.
Ms. Sarah,
Thank you. Oh, right, thank you very much.
item
It's
3.
very nice to have you here, as well as Mr. Edmonds and Mr. Gregory. Thank you for being here. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Chair Marcy,
Here.
Commissioner Plummer, Commissioner Livermore,
Here.
Commissioner Levinson, Commissioner Toby Iema. Yes. Councilmember Herring.
Here.
Great, thanks very much. I will make a motion to approve the November 3rd minutes from our regular meeting on that date. May I have a second? I'll let Eric already seconded.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Chair Marcy,
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
Yes.
Commissioner Toby Iema.
Thank you very much. So the first item on our agenda is, well, we have 2 items that I don't think there's anyone here for. So what I would like to do is move on to item number 3 so that we can take care of the people who are actually attending. So this will be 5 Lawn Avenue. We have an appeal. Your appeal is very long, and I appreciate all the documentation you sent. Let me get to it. I'm going to read just the beginning of it because we will be discussing the other items that you have provided, and I appreciate you sending those. This is from Mr. Signa. I'm a single member of ER&C LLC. This LLC only owns one property, and that is 5 Lawn Avenue. I purchased this property to be close to my sister, but since then she has moved to Florida. At that time, it was felt that under 93-4D, the property is now required to be registered as vacant because on October 29, 2021, I applied for a building permit to renovate this property. Living remotely, I tried to hire contractors so that I could submit a meaningful rehabilitation plan for your approval, but was unable to secure any contractors because they're extremely busy. You also were traveling during some of that time, and I know you were
Earlier, yes.
stuck in,
Yeah, I was, because of the pandemic, as you all know, it's, you get locked down sometimes,
right.
That's prior to that, and then,
You received a letter from the city dated August 4th, 2021, indicating that you needed to register the property for being vacant on October 3rd of 2021. And I understand that you chose not to because you were planning on doing renovations to the building.
and when I came to file for the permit, I asked if I should register this, and if you're gonna be remodeling it, going forward with a permit, you don't need to.
Right.
Otherwise, I would have gladly paid the 500 and done it. I follow the rules.
Yeah, we do have copies of
Yeah.
the building permit application that you made.
Yes.
And recognizing that because you did not have a contractor at that time, it wasn't accepted as a valid building permit, even though he paid the fee.
That's correct, because I never submitted to them as part of the requirement is to provide a plan that they would approve.
Okay, so you never actually submitted this?
I paid for the fee, it's.
Oh, it looks like you did. You submitted it on
Yes.
October 29th, 2021.
So a building permit's required, and as per the code, a rehab plan has to be put in place. We didn't receive it, so it's not accepted. It's not an exemption.
Right. However, in the code it says that exceptions are
Active building permit.
when there's an active building permit, which
You do
I
not.
admit this is not an active building permit, but it was an attempt at a building permit. And/or the building is actively being marketed for sale.
So 93-3D Incomplete registration, failure to provide a vacant building plan will result in incomplete registration.
Right.
And I made that very clear, we've been watching this building for years, and I said, we have to have that. We have to have it.
Okay, so, then in March of, 2022, you started actively marketing.
Because in winter, you can't do anything here anyway, you know, it's on top of it, you're remote, you know. So I understood it's beyond my capability to remotely try to get this thing fixed. Even the roof was leaking, I begged local people to come and just one valley needed to be repaired. Nobody would give me a quote just to do that small job. It resulted in much more damage and finally I had it done just a month ago. But to make story short, I actively started selling it. Through the realtor, it's the same realtor who sold it to me, and Peter Clark made an offer, but it wasn't a normal sale, it was a bargain deed. So therefore, he backed out, he didn't understand what that is, and the realtor wasn't helpful in that case. So I started actively asking local people, and I've given you all the contacts. I've made all my effort, and actually I've finally sold it better than what the realtor was getting me. So I've been constantly on it, because it's a drain of my money, you know, just having a vacant property sitting here and not me being able to use it.
And that you just sold it.
And that is correct. The closing will take place on the 19th or 14th was in their agreement, you know, yes.
We had to secure the building on June of 2022.
That is correct. I heard about that. And I paid the fee for it, whatever you had to do, because some squatters I heard were on that street. And I thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for coming in. You know, it's difficult in a case like this. First of all, no one let us know that we had this responsibility, although it's very clear and the decision will not be difficult to make, I don't think. So this is a new job of the Board of Public Service as of 2019, although this is the first one we've actually had
The
before us.
vacant property registration has been in place since before I started working in the city.
This was adopted in 2019.
We
so-
updated the vacant
So
property.
we've had 3 years when there was no action from you, so this is our first vacant property review. And it is very clear that there were steps that were missed. I personally think you've been trying. You know, I see all of your documentation, I appreciate it.
So even within your rule, again, I didn't follow it to the T because of pandemic you have construction supply problems, you have, worker problems.
It's a very difficult.
It's very difficult times when this thing was adopted in 2019, but you should give some lenience to it because of where the market is today, because of the
And-
material. Even if I were to submit a genuine, earnest effort to do some construction, what if I don't get supplies for 6 months? And there goes that plan out the window.
How
So-
long have you owned the property?
I've owned it for 5 years, sir.
Okay, there you go.
And I've duly paid every penny, whatever you wanted me to. But it's just because my sister, the family plans changed. And then due to pandemic, I was abroad, locked down, and et cetera. So time flies, for me at least.
A question that I have related to your documentation
Yes.
is, at any point along the way, were you notifying the code enforcement office of your steps that you were taking or trying to take? I mean, they're not mind readers.
And there was a voicemail I left
Voicemail?
for Mr. Hester, yes. It was sometime in June or something, but they're so busy, I didn't expect any call back. Just to tell them what I'm trying to do.
It would seem to me that there were many missed opportunities here to take care of this, although the pandemic did make many people are not able to get contractors right at this time. I did some calculations, and if we, the fee was, according to the letter received from the code enforcement office, it was due, the registration was due October 3rd. So doing a calculation from October 3rd to March 4th, when you begin to actively market it, or at least make it, trying to sign a contract with a marketer, the fee would be $228.50, including the $100 first step and then $3.50 after that. The fee that is the invoice that was sent to you covers all the way to now. So, I think we could recognize that there's been an attempt to dispose of this property and not have it be vacant during some pretty tough times. And I would suggest that we reduce the fee to the amount to March 4th, which is $628.50, and then be happy that it's going to be sold within 2 weeks. That's my recommendation. I don't know if I have questions for code or for,
I think that an attempt that has been made shows good faith, and being a body that serves the public, we should take that into consideration and empathize on those grounds, considering the other cases that we've been dealing with. So I agree with you on that, to reduce the amount, and on the grounds that attempts are being made to dispose of the property in the way required.
This property's been an issue for several years.
We thought it belonged to a bank. We were trying to track down who owned it. There was zero property maintenance being done on it. And when we sent the vacant property fee letter out, this was the first time I had actually met the owner, was the building permit. And I guess he has sold it to Dennis Crop. So yeah, it's been a concern for us, and it's been unsecure. When we had a problem the street over, we had to worry about this property.
Which is why we secured it.
We had to go secure it, and we were like, this is a problem for this neighborhood. As far as communication, I've had many people call me and say I'm working on something. But if we don't see anything, if we don't have any documentation, it's just words. So
It's just been vague descriptions to you.
I think he did leave a voicemail that said I'm attempting to, do some work on it. We haven't, of course, it just sits there. So no inspections have been done. It's been a problem for at least 5 years.
Those 5 years, was the COVID part of those 5 years?
Yes.
If we were to take the COVID years into consideration, or out of the way, how many years would it be?
That's a tough one. If you take the COVID year, there was a year pretty much where it was active. The only problem is if we say that, we had a lot of people doing work during COVID, a lot of them.
Internationally?
I'm sorry?
Internationally?
People that own properties here. I don't know what their situation was internationally. I just know if they owned a property here, people were working on it. So we did have a lot of work going on during COVID, even when the governor said he can't be working.
Well, there's an
Well,
exception
but
to those.
there were,
There's an exception for crews of less than a certain number of people doing essential or mandatory work. So there were people, I mean, people built additions during COVID. I mean, Los Andes was being constructed during
Okay,
COVID.
the reason I asked that is because, he's given us his passport, showing that he was in India. So if you have any other grounds under which someone was international and was able to be working here, then that's a good ground. Otherwise, I think it would not be appropriate to, serve in full consequences, having gone this way, based on the exception of the COVID. So if we take the years of the COVID out, how many years did he have? And would that be considerate? Would you have considered, with those years outside the COVID years, with an international, immigration stamp saying he was out of the country at this time? And in India, as you know, India was one of those countries that was badly hit by the pandemic. So are we taking that into consideration, that he was out of the country and,
So we had 3 years before COVID to do this house,
okay, 3 years before COVID.
to finish a single-family home.
And within those 3 years, he did not
but
make
you
an
weren't
attempt.
pursuing this at that point in this way. You weren't pursuing
We
this
were
baby.
actively looking for someone. We were trying to figure out who actually owned the building. If we went back through the details, I could probably find multiple letters sent to this LLC.
Is it like an LLC corporation that we had
Right.
no way to contact?
So we would send letters and we wouldn't get a response. When we put the fee in here, that you would get a fee, we got a response.
May I interject here, please? Ever since I've owned this, I pay taxes. And I have snow removal. I hired local contractors to remove snow and cut the grass, but sometimes they missed. Whichever company the city of Oneonta has hired, they were right on top, even though the rest of the street may not be clean, they would come and find me. I've been paying all of those, all of it. There was not that they couldn't reach me. All their bills came to me and I paid them on time. So I've had communication. Don't make me look bad, because in the beginning, the first year I purchased the property, I brought in it had a bad foundation issue. I brought in a mason from there, and he started doing some work, did a good job, but then he started milking the job, then I had to stop him. Then I hired some people from Lorraine to do some work. They again did some work after that. Being remote, they stole all my tools and they, went out. So it's very hard to do something when you're 2, 3, 4 hours away. Not that I didn't have any intentions. Not being able to reach me, I'm at a loss to understand that, because I get the bills and I've been paying them, and there's a record of it.
But you, well, obviously, if you got letters from them, you might not have responded. You may have paid bills, but you,
Nothing to the effect till this 2019 law was adopted. Then I got a registered letter, and that's just before the pandemic thing. So that's when I got that. Before that, I didn't even know about this vacant property, honestly.
And we have none of that work he's mentioning. We don't have any permits for that. We were trying to figure out who was doing that work. We have over 30 snow removal, lawn mowings, secure building.
There's only one secure building.
That's all within the past 5 years. We have over 30 of those.
Mostly those are snow removal. Yeah. Maybe 29.
I don't know how we split the baby if we want to. There obviously was difficulties. They had difficulties getting in touch with you. You had difficulties getting people to do the work.
there proof that he has been consistent with his bill, his bills? If there is proof of that, then it shows that, because I suspect, or I sense an issue of a character issue here where, the code office would be concerned that everybody comes saying the same thing, so we don't want to assume that we can trust anybody, and it's a tough challenge for such a public office. But if someone is able to prove that this is my character trait, this is what I've been doing, then I think we should give him that exception.
Yeah, and their response is, there was no maintenance being done at the property. So there was no snow removal, there was no garbage pickup, there were no things happening in terms of taking care of the building. And that's why, they went after it vacant-wise. So
May I ask a
I don't
question?
know.
Do you have proof of paying anyone to plow? Do you have proof of receipts that you paid anyone to do all of that? If
Yeah,
you do,
if I didn't, the town would be sending me a bill every month, because they're on top of it, But so since they haven't, they've only had about 29 of the 5 years, that means I've been, my contractor has been taking care of the rest.
because
And I do have all of those in my, phone, I have all those emails, yes.
if he has proof that
Bills.
he's paid someone to do that and the person
Yeah.
doesn't, I think we can take judicial notice of the fact that sometimes people don't you pay them and they don't show up. You have to call landlords and stuff like that. Other than that proof, I guess we would maintain status quo.
But these things like snow removal, and that was just by default letting the city take care of it. Is that correct? And then he just pays the bill for it, that's what's happened?
Either pays it or it's re-levied to the
Okay.
county. The county issues us a check and it's marked as paid in our system.
But it's not like, that's not what a property owner's supposed to do. They're supposed to arrange their own, cutting their lawn.
Right, and the purpose behind the vacant property registration is so we don't have zombie properties.
And draw people out that aren't maintaining properties.
And we know we have more of those than we want.
And this 2019 thing, this ordinance was already in place, it was just recorded, so it was certainly before.
So when Robert Chapizzi was here, the former code officer, which was now going on more than 6 years ago, there was already a vacant property fee that escalated annually. I don't know if this property was paying a vacant property fee, it should have been. But that ordinance was made before I became the code officer. In 2019, we basically redefined the definitions, we included penalties for not, before you could just pay a check and you could just ignore. You could be like, here's my $500, I'm not gonna provide a building permit, I'm not gonna do anything, I'm just gonna pay my $500 or my $1,000 and just sit on property. So we included this escalating fee, this administrative fee, so that people would stop just mailing a check for $1,000 and saying, okay, that's the penalty of owning a vacant house, is I pay my $1,000 and I walk away from it. So this was made to draw people out who weren't doing anything, were just paying.
Make them do what they need to do.
They're essentially just status quo. Like you said, they were paying their $1,000 on their taxes, which for some people in some municipalities, $1,000 is, Bank of America doesn't care about $1,000. Someone living in a place that has $20,000 property taxes, $2,600 tax bill from the city of Oleana isn't that big a deal. So this was just I'm paying my money to sit on a house for some reason. I don't know why. So that's what this fee was made. It was made to escalate, to put pressure on people to stop just sitting on vacant houses that they weren't maintaining, or purchased and had no ability to actually complete. So that's why this was made in 2019.
So, I have made a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
What would the final bill be? I have two numbers. What would the final bill be?
Reduced it, 28. It's all right to vote against it if you feel. Okay, so,
Chair Mertz,
yes.
Commissioner Livermore,
No.
Commissioner Tobiasso,
Yes.
Motion.
Yes, unfortunately, it didn't pass because we need 3 votes to pass today, so the
Can I
bill stands.
can I make some clarification, which I think the gentleman misunderstood, that all my snow removal was only done through the city? No. I had my own contractors, but whenever they did not do their job, that's when I got hit with fines.
No, we
So I
understand, but
do have contractors, those who do take care of it.
Thank you for coming in, thank you very much. for
So at this point,
The bill stands.
the bill
and-
stands?
Yep,
Okay,
and you could pay at any time.
I see.
Um,
Can I?
Or it can be paid.
And it's
What-
vacant, but if he's actively marketing it, which he's gonna sell it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we won't continue the fee. I mean, and it could be paid in closing, like you take it out of the closing. I mean,
So the fee didn't stop at when I actively started selling it. So that was your motion,
Right, that was our motion, but the motion didn't
Okay.
pass.
I see. So that is,
So the 1367 still stands.
and then, does it stop now? Do I have to register as vacant, or it's okay now?
That-
It's,
No, it
No,
are
doesn't.
you okay?
If it's-
Closing.
If it's gonna close, then
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be moved when it closes, so you'll owe it.
Okay, so
maybe
right
you
now,
Get it out of your owner's.
I either pay now or pay it at closing?
Yeah, you
So
can-
we're fine?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Our next item is Mr. Edmund. Why don't you come on up front, right here? We have your appeal, which is electrical and housing inspections for 34 Maple Street in Oneonta are complete. The housing inspection was complete by Joe in Code Enforcement Office on Friday, October 28th at 10 a.m. to meet the requirement for invoice 2021-4713 and service date 8/24/21. Due to COVID, inspections were difficult to schedule and complete. Unfortunately, COVID for our community was somewhat over by that time. I mean, if it had been 2020, we would hear you, but your inspections were really late. I mean, you want to talk about that?
Well, my issue is that from the time I lived there, if I had to come to code enforcement to ask them what is wrong and what I need to work on, they're always quick to help me out, telling me work on this and work on that. But my situation with this one that I missed is because I wasn't sure at the time to come here and get a piece of paper to make, to use code enforcement, electrical, or then I didn't pay attention to the inspection house. I'm thinking it's just the smoke detector, stuff like that. That like when they come in, they usually tell me to make sure it's working. But yes, on me that I didn't get somebody from code enforcement to do the work. But when I came back, I spoke to John, I spoke to Joe, and the best they told me is here's a list, here's the person you can use. Then I told them I had used a guy named Les, but I never got a chance to get the stuff
It's
into.
very tough, you know, those are big charges, and we, unfortunately, the code enforcement office didn't do anything wrong, and you were late. I mean, it's very hard. Questions from the board members about they were more than a year late, so.
Look how long I
It
lived
puts
there.
us in a tough position.
I understand, but look how long I lived there. I would never do such thing to have
you know.
8,000.
And you do live at 34.
Yes. It never happened before.
Tell me a little bit about the other apartments. So there must be an apartment in the house, 2 apartments, and you live in one of them?
2 apartments upstairs and 1 down.
Oh, so you're downstairs and there's 2 apartments upstairs.
And I had came in the expense, and it's every 2-year thing, and that's the only reason it happened. But if you look at when I lived there, as soon as I get the stuff, I come see them, they tell me what to do, and I get it done. And I don't know what caused that to happen. I never had that issue before.
Yeah.
And
How long have you owned 34 Maple?
probably like, I wanna say 16, 17. Never had that problem, so anytime the problem occurred, I always come and ask for help, because
So just to
there's no
clarify,
reason I would let that pass
just to
by.
clarify, he's up to date now, or no?
So I can say for the heating inspection and the electrical inspection, we're still showing that as expired. And I don't know if you know that or not, but
John, every time that I came here, before I even leave, I will ask one of the ladies, please tell me if there's anything that I might be missing, help me out, or everything's fine. I go home, I come back a month or two later, a new bill pop up, so.
So yeah, I mean, like on the heating and the electrical, as of right now, it says expired. The housing inspection is different. That one's, I guess Joe did it,
Yes.
and he got into 2 units, but he couldn't get into a third.
Guy had COVID.
That was COVID, yeah.
He came out and told us, so it's not like I'm
Oh,
making
so
stories
So
for
there
him.
was an attempt made.
Well, so we did like a third of the inspection. I mean, I put it down as a regular to go back, so.
So that would have
For the
been a
requirements
time.
for that.
That would have been a time if you could have gotten into the third unit.
And then, not to cut you off, the guy that did the electrical didn't send Joe the information on time. At the time he gave me the paperwork to get to the guy.
Do you have the paperwork that was on time, even that wasn't sent to Joe on time?
I came to Joe and told him right away, and I took pictures, and I said, the electrical guy told me that he'll get in contact with them. My job was done as far let him into the house. I took pictures and I came back and showed it to Joe.
So,
And
so Joe, you want to speak to those comments?
Electrical, I'd have to, unless John's got it in there, I don't.
I just had municity.
What was the electrical? Was it an inspection?
Yeah, it would have been under.
It was done. Well, I mean, there's no updated electrical. We have one from
Also,
11.
we don't have.
So you're saying you had an electrical inspection done?
yes, the guy, I got the list here, and I still have the picture in my phone, the guy name, and I came to tell Joe, I didn't know the guy name exactly, but once I showed the phone number, his name was on the list. I don't know his name, I
But
got
did
the
you-
list.
Did
I'll
you
call
bring in a violation list from him or not? That I don't recall.
Say that again, please?
A violation list from the electrical inspection?
No, he just told me that he'll get, I said,
He would do the inspection.
I said, is there anything I need to get from you to go to court enforcement to report this? Don't worry about anything, I'll call them, I'll speak to them. That was his word. And then I came to you that same week and I said, I took care of the electrical guys that I asked you about on the list, and I gave you the phone number, and you said, oh, okay, that's such and such. I don't know the guy's name, so. But I still have his information. He made me take pictures of stuff to come back and show you that.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, you'd probably have to call him back or something and get a report sent to us.
That,
We never.
but when I came to you, when I spoke to you,
So let's decide on the housing inspection question, because we know that the dates relate to that. And let's let Mr. Edmonds bring in, like, confirm with code what documents he brought in and what date, and then we can revisit this the rest of it next month.
this is it right here.
Listen,
Yes.
what we're gonna do is let you two get together
Yes.
related to the electrical inspection and figure out what actually transpired in terms of dates.
Yes.
Not today, but you're gonna stop into the code enforcement office sometime soon and work this out with them, who did it, and why he didn't get his paperwork in.
Yes.
Yeah, so I believe you.
Okay.
So I would like to table your appeal on the electrical inspection. And unfortunately, we're probably going to deny you on the housing inspection because we know you were late on that. Although you tried.
Well, we did do an inspection October 28th. I don't know what date.
The fee was actually stopped. I was
No, I
thinking.
know you did one
Yeah.
October 28th, but he's claiming you did one earlier. Like close to the date it was due, but you couldn't get into one unit, so you had to,
No, that's.
No, that was the one from October 28th.
oh, that was the one from October 28th? Okay, so I think we have to make a decision on the housing inspection.
That was October 28th of this year.
Yes,
But it was
yes,
June
yeah.
2021.
So why don't you make a motion on that one and we'll table the, well, you can make a motion both ways, okay?
So, yeah, I make a motion that we deny the appeal in regard to the housing inspection.
Right, and
we
we table
the other ones
the
for
electrical.
clarification.
Do you want a
I'd
second?
like to ask a question first.
Okay. Questions?
2021, it expired, and since then till just the recent inspection. I would second that.
Okay. Further discussion?
Yeah, I would second that as well, for the discussion.
Yeah, and we're gonna wait on the electrical inspection because apparently there was one done, but the paperwork didn't come from the electrical inspector.
Well, I have his number, just his name I don't remember. I have his phone number.
What is the phone number?
Why don't we work this out?
Oh,
You make
It's
the.
Richard, it was Richard, he was the electrical inspector, 278-6051 through Dennis Electric. I was the one who was there when it was.
That was the.
I just followed up with him and called.
Yeah,
Left a message, hopefully he'll call
let's
back.
see when the inspection was done.
Right,
That was
So
I could tell you the exact date, I'll tell you the exact date.
you may come in, by the way, you don't have to wander around outside.
Did you use these guys for heating?
Say that again.
Did you use these guys for your heating inspection?
I've worked on your first.
Yeah, he worked on.
Okay, I just, because you used them last time.
Yeah, he worked, he fixed my furnace and other things before.
Okay.
I'm always on time, man. I just couldn't believe this thing right here passed me by. And then I came to you, John.
October
and he was
7th
helping
was
me
the
out
date.
Okay.
when I
Mr.
asked
Evans?
you if there's
Mr.
anything
Evans?
else, and then 2 months later, the bill pile up. I'm like,
Mr. Evans,
yes, ma'am.
make an appointment to come in and straighten this out with the code enforcement.
I'll
We've
come.
tabled the other one
Eddie,
and we can make a
Eddie.
decision
Yes.
in your favor if we find it.
I don't know who it is. Yeah, that looks like the stuff I
Okay,
wrote
we're going to
up.
do this.
Yeah.
Pointed out, we didn't write it
All right.
down.
Right, so thank you very much for coming in. Just work with them.
Yes.
Otherwise, we haven't made a decision on the electrical inspection.
Okay.
We'll wait for that, okay? Thank you, thanks for coming in.
So can I come in tomorrow and
Yep, we'll be there.
I'll be in?
Okay,
One of us will, if not me,
Six.
John will be there. I've got one.
oh, 6 Gardner Place, they're not here.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Thank you.
Gregory, hi,
How you doing?
good. Let me get to you're gonna put that up on the screen. Unfortunately, we didn't get copies made of this, we've seen it, so.
I have copies if you want.
That's fine.
Well, because I also have my
We've
emails.
all seen this, we just don't have hard copies in front of us.
Do you have my emails to code
Yes.
enforcement?
Everything that code says we have.
Yes,
Good.
and, this was a difficult situation you found yourself in. Would you put up this actual, like the invoice? Could you go to
Invoice,
the
yeah.
invoice?
If you guys want hard copies, I do have hard copies. It's easier.
the electrical inspection?
We don't, we got them in our email, most of us, we've seen it, it's just that we didn't get it in our packets, unfortunately. So each one was no, it wasn't. So you are appealing your electrical inspection, your heating inspection, and your smoke and heat detector and alarm one, which you could fill out based on, your inability to get into the property. When, do you have a police report or anything like that about trying to get in?
About which one? There's been multiple
This
police
is
reports.
15 Draper.
No, for that property, I mean, there's been multiple police reports, yeah, you ask OPD, they know the property. Which,
Well, you know, we just.
oh, about me trying to get in?
Yes.
No, because the gentleman, the squatter who was living there, threatened to shank me. So I made the decision that it wasn't safe for me to go there. And I tried to stay away from there, and I didn't go there until I went there with the police. And there was about 10 police officers, and they had to kick the door in. As the squatters walked out the back door into the park and walked away free. Okay? He could have unlocked that door and opened it, but he chose not to. Okay?
I'm gonna trust your situation, that actually happened, we should have asked the police for that report. 'Cause
So
they-
I can verify right now, the police have been heavily involved with this property.
Pardon me?
The police have been heavily involved with this property.
There were drug use there and whatever else.
Some of the individuals at 3 Pine Street were involved with this property as well. So we are also familiar with this property.
I would like to recognize that Mr. Gregory did not have access to the property and therefore couldn't get the inspections done. And we are waiving we're approving this appeal for all 3, with the understanding that you will get inspections as soon as you can.
Has this been sold?
We actually, as soon as I learned that I could change the status to vacant, I'm back. We finally got the people out of there. And then we had access to the property, and then I could start, inspecting things and dealing with things, and I learned I could list it as a vacant property. And I was told that would stop all fees, and I told code enforcement I had no intentions of re-renting the property, and it's now on the market, and we're actively trying to sell it.
I make a motion that we waive the fees. Second?
I'll second it.
I think we gotta have a universal second. Further discussion?
I do appreciate what you guys do with code enforcement. The record show my other properties, I keep very well care of them. I always try to, follow the rules, because I want our community to be safe, and I want, people to have safe and affordable housing.
Well, we're sorry this happened to you.
Thank you.
Chair Isaac?
Yes,
Commissioner Lennon?
Yes.
Commissioner Tiliani?
yes. Thank you. And I hope you've got it all secured now so that other people can't get in.
There were actually, since you asked, after I wrote this, there was a break-in, they stole all the copper out of there. And so it's an ongoing problem. There is a police report for that too,
Thank
with
you.
the OPD. We've since made the repairs and fixed all of that. Whatever, I don't know. It's too bad what's happening to the city.
It is. Thank you for coming in.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to Stapleton.
All right.
Um,
Thank you.
We have photographs
The owners are Audrey and whatever, Edward, they're both deceased.
So this is fake.
According to the brother lives next door, Dan, to Audrey. And according to him, I guess the daughter was supposed to get the house, but she never went through the process, legal process. And that she's in, I want to say South Carolina or North Carolina.
Great,
So,
wonderful. So apparently it's gonna be a county thing,
Probably
they paying the
so.
bills?
probably at some point.
Yeah.
Well, oh, right, yes, yeah.
Okay, so based on the pictures that we have and the testimony of the code enforcement office, I make a motion that we declare this property unsafe based on chapter 92, D, E, F, G, I, and J.
I'll second that.
Second, Ari? Any further discussion? Yes?
Commissioner Lemon?
Yes.
Commissioner Tobiano?
Yes. Okay, so what do you expect us to do about this? Do you want it to be secured? Do you want, I mean, we
I
can
believe it is.
obviously
I would
order it
just-
to stay vacated.
Yes, they vacated. We've already, I had the water department shut the water
I
off,
noticed that.
just in case.
And
One of
obviously,
the
the
pictures there, Kelly,
electricity must be shut off too, if no
Well-
one's paying the bills.
that's what we would assume, but I didn't know if we had the right to order it disconnected or something, because we don't want any.
We could request NICEAG, we could send them a thing saying we believe the building's unsafe and, but
Okay,
it's that's a NICEAG
So-
issue.
so we want to order it
The
to
next
remain
picture,
vacant.
Terry, can you blow that up a little bit?
What part?
Just the.
You'll see there's electrical stuff there, there's a lead cord and, well, the other picture before that too had an open box, and, but I guess, it doesn't matter, you could see it. And then the other picture.
We want to order it secured. What about repaired? There's really no owner at this point, is there?
It looks like it's in a safe, it's a corner piece, and it looks, from the outside, it looks like repair would be more appropriate, because, I drove past, today, and it looks like it's not going to take so much work. Electrical works replaced, and,
Should we be authorizing you guys to take away the things on the outside that are hazardous?
Through the summer, we did mow it a few times, and we did pick up, because there was a tenant supposedly moving in, and he, of course, realized what he walked into, and he put a bunch of junk outside, and we ended up taking that away. I mean, I don't know if he
So
started with stuff.
we just want to make sure there's no tenant going into it,
Right.
based on what happened to Mr. Gregory. Okay, so we want it secured, we want it ordered to remain vacant. We want to notify NICEAG to shut off the electricity. We want you guys to clean up the outside, like take away some of the trash and charge it against the property.
I don't think there's any trash outside, it's just inside.
Well, there's the washing machine, this is,
It's inside, well, it's
Yeah,
inside,
those two pictures
inside
are
the,
inside the front.
they're all
yeah,
inside.
that's inside,
that's-
this is outside.
That's outside, well, it's an open, yeah, there's a roof over it, but it's open.
Is that enclosed like a back
No,
porch?
it's just
No,
Oh,
plants.
okay.
that's plants
Things
over
like
the stairs.
the debris that's outside, can we hire somebody to go in and fix that up?
We have anybody left.
All right,
We have
so
it
that's,
here.
I think that's where we are.
The electrical as well, it's
Yes.
important for them to stand,
Nice.
because fire washer.
Yeah. Direct my signature and the electricity off, that'll discourage people from squatting there.
Got all that?
That's my motion. Second? No? Additional comments? Anything else you can think of that you want ordered on this property? Okay,
Cameron?
Yes,
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Tobias?
Yes.
thank you. Okay, now we'll go on to 14 Watkins.
Yes.
So let's, on your desk, you will find an email outlining the state building code, which I will read in a moment. And you will also receive the police report, which indicated there were 100,
101. Yes.
101 guests were removed from the barn and the party was dispersed. The state building code states, buildings, structures, or equipment that are unsanitary or that is deficient due to inadequate means of egress facilities, inadequate light and ventilation, or that constitute a fire hazard, or in which the structure or individual structural members meet the definition of dangerous, or that are otherwise dangerous to human life or public welfare, or that involve illegal or improper occupancy or inadequate maintenance, shall be deemed unsafe. A vacant structure that is not secured against entry shall be deemed unsafe. Okay, so why don't you outline for us what the police found and how we got involved in this?
So we want to secure this building because this has happened multiple times. Myself and John went to the property. It's unsecured. There's clearly evidence that there were, beverage cups, containers. There was like a stage, some other stuff in there. So
There's
this
a
building-
stage?
There's an area that's clearly being used as like a something. And it appears that this is being used as not a storage building. The police report kind of verifies that. So our interest would be to secure the building so that it's no longer used for these types of gatherings. Because the state fire code says that if you're going to use this building as this type of a gathering, you need sprinklers and you need a panic hardware on the doors. There's all kinds of requirements if you change a structure from a garage to a public assembly. So our argument is if this building is being used as a public assembly, it's in violation of New York state law, and we want to prevent that.
So we're talking only at this point about the garage and not necessarily the residence?
The residence, no. We're talking about
Okay,
an
this is
unsafe
the
garage.
Okay, is that,
It's a large, it's like a two-story carriage house. It's a sizable structure.
okay,
Okay, the garage is the building at the back?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a large, like two-story carriage barn.
Separate.
So under chapter 92, we have a list of criteria that could apply in this case. We usually don't do this unless it's fire safe or there's some portion of the building that's dilapidated. But I think we could indicate that G, which is inadequate egress, those which, because of their condition, are unsafe, unsanitary, or dangerous to the health, moral safety, or general welfare of the people of the city, would refer back to the state building code. Those buildings which are existing in violation of Chapter 300 zoning, or any other provisions of the code of the city of Oneonta. I don't believe there's structural issues here. It's really occupancy and
Correct.
inadequate fire. I mean, we could also,
I mean, we're not arguing that the building is gonna cave in tomorrow. What we're just saying is, it's being used in
for
a way
something
that's
that makes it unsafe, right?
very unsafe.
So that means that under chapter 92, we would find it unsafe based on G, H, I, and J. So further questions for Steve? at this point, Stephen?
Do we have any pictures of?
No, because it's really just the use of the building and the police report, which leads us to determine that this is being used for something that creates an unsafe condition. And those are the criteria.
If this barn was being used to store a vehicle in or to store Christmas decorations, we wouldn't be talking about it. But this barn is essentially being used as a bar.
Right.
Or a nightclub.
I just talked to Scott, and maybe you can facilitate this too, about possibly getting some of the occupancy and usage wording into chapter 92 for us, so that in the future, if we're looking at this type of thing, we could use that as one of our criteria and not these other things which sort of maybe kind of, definitely apply. So based on that, I will make a motion on those charges. Phil, you just seconded it?
Sure.
Chair Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Okay, so the next step in under chapter 92 is that we determine what the remedy is, and Stephen is recommending that we secure the building. Anything else you want us to do? Vacated, I suppose you want it ordered vacated.
I mean, it's not currently occupied, but I mean, sure, we can order it vacated.
I mean, that's one of our choices, vacated, demolished, or repaired. I suppose we could repair it and vacate it and secure it at the same time.
Yeah, I would say vacate and secure.
Vacate and secure.
Are there any occupants in the main house?
Not the main house, not the main apartment house.
Yeah,
I know, but if, the purpose for vacating would be that those who are in the main house could likely be the ones using it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it may turn out that we're sending the party into the house.
and that would be that'd be a new conversation we could have.
But apparently it's just the garage that we're talking about.
Okay, because actually I was going to ask as well, the reason I asked for pictures is because when I was driving past, I saw a naked wire, like, I don't know if it's at the side, at the side there's like a naked wire.
Yeah, there are code violations there. That's why,
The main house, actually.
Oh,
Yes.
well, we can go look at that too.
By the right, driving up to.
That'll be the next thing, I guess.
I just thought.
Okay, any further discussion? Thank you. I think Ari is going to make that motion. And I will be happy to second it.
Chair Marks?
Okay, yes?
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Okay, thank you. And then finally on our agenda, we have number 5, 6 Gardner Place. You want to speak to that about the late inspection?
We were actually trying to, when we read the appeal this morning, I touched base with Gwen in our office, I touched base with Sarah, and I guess the claim in the appeal is that she submitted the inspection prior to the due date. And I said, did either one of you send the smoke detector form back to her for any reason? And it just because I wanted to know what their protocol was.
Right, and we need to know that too.
And Gwen and Sarah, they both have a protocol. When they send it back, they have a cover letter that goes with it, and it says this form is incomplete. And it's either circled or highlighted, and they didn't know what she meant by that. So it was light, and I remember talking to this girl at the window, and I said, I mean, you can appeal it, but it's beyond the due date, so I don't know what to tell you.
Yes, and she's only appealing the smoke and heat detector certification. And she received the notice on September 6th and signed for it, so there's no question that she knew it was due. And they said they filled it out on 9/7, but you didn't get it.
Stamp it,
Any additional questions about that?
Mommy,
I think it was late.
Mama, you wanna pay off?
I make the motion, we deny the appeal.
I'll second that. Further questions, discussion? Okay,
Chair Merson,
yes.
Commissioner Levin,
Yes.
Commissioner Tobias.
You're not
And
sure
you're
how you
a
feel
yes
about
and
it?
no- a yes and no or an abstention?
Well, I'll go with the majority.
Thank you. We do have Mr. Martella on Spruce Street, but they've asked for it to be put over one more month so they can be here. That was at our last meeting. And did you do an inspection of 15 Frederick? Looks like it's cleaned up
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah, he actually called and wanted to know if I'd been by, and I said, yeah, it's, they chopped the vegetation down, so it's nice and clear. The porch, which we were concerned about the egress, is cleared out. There's still a few things on the property, but it's not unsafe level now, so.
So we can take that off our agenda. Great. Oh, there is one announcement to be made. I went to a meeting with the finance office and the engineering department, and we are going to they're changing our water meters. Or at least not the water meters, but the ERTs, the things that send the electronic signal. And we are no longer going to have a daily reading. We're only going to have a monthly reading, which will change our decision-making a little bit. But it's felt that in the future, people will be able to get their own readings by going on the internet. And that's the advantage of it, is that a person can check their usage whenever they want to, if they think there's an issue. So that's the reason we're changing over. The ERTs are coming to the end of their life cycle, and there was a feeling that there's a better one out there. That's the little electronic signal. So when we get a water bill appeals next year, there will be different documentation, and we're just gonna have to live with that. I hope it's gonna be okay. And the other thing is that maybe not next year, but the year after, we're going to have everyone is getting a quarterly water bill, which may solve some of our problems in that if you have a leak, high usage, it'll be known quicker and we can deal with that more quickly, and then people can make repairs. So, I've said, we'll have to live with it, whatever it is. So that's just my announcement. Any other items you want to bring to us, Scott? Do you have anything, guys, anything? Okay.
Busy month next month,
Oh, busy month next month,
Yeah,
so
we've
thanks
got-
a lot.
as much or more.
Oh, thanks a lot.
It's not me, it's them.
Put your dancing shoes on. Let's see, in January 1st, so it'll be January 5th.
Yep.